For so many of us, especially myself, words open up worlds. There was nothing more exciting for me than that Saturday morning visit to the local library. But the words also open up opportunities. But it's estimated 32 million adults here in America are illiterate. Fixing the problem starts in childhood. And I'm excited to talk with our next guest, Pamela Good. She's the president with the nonprofit organization Beyond Basics. Pamela, thank you for being with us here on the Oakland County MegaCast.
Oh, it's our pleasure to be here. Thanks so much for inviting me.
I loved reading about your organization. For those that may not be familiar, give us a little bit of background. How did you get started in this?
Well, it's an interesting story. I mean, 20 years ago, as part of a school project for my young children, I delivered coats downtown to Herman Rogers Academy, right there at the Southfield Road and Joy Road. And it was that day that when I went into that school, my eyes were opened up to a completely different community, a wonderful one, but one that had so many struggles. And just decided that I would try to do more. And so it was really birthed out of that encounter.
One encounter and it changes the footprint of your life, but what was your background prior to this?
Well, I called myself a jack of all trades, master of none. But when a few years later, incorporated as a nonprofit, I knew that I had been given a little bit of experience in all the varieties of starting a business. I had accounting background and I had business background, but I also pursued child psychology, child development, and there's a lot of things that we don't understand in different communities. And I think having that background really gave me a heart for wanting just to help people.
So tell us about Beyond Basics now. Where are you now and what is your goal going into 2021, which is, I think everyone's excited to leave 2020 behind us.
That's right. It actually was a blessing year for us, but I think I'll just comment about the journey. Initially we went in just to bring extras to kids and really formatted the foundation of what we are today. We brought in academic enrichment programs, reading and writing, art, make a difference days. We partnered with people from all walks of life to come in and gave them access to kids to do, really valuable stuff with. It wasn't until 2003-4 that we realized that the kids, by and large, they didn't just need help with reading, they needed to learn to read. And it took 4 years of implementing state-of-the-art initiatives and failing every year before we got grade level movement. That was in 2008. And so I say we really became a full-fledged literacy organization when we were able to tutor kids in a program and get them reading on average in 6 weeks. And we've just perfected that since then.
But we just went through a 2020, a year unlike any other year that we've been through. How important is it for organizations such as yourself coming out of the pandemic, which we hope we're coming out of the pandemic, because I feel like so many kids have been left behind during this crisis?
I think it's important to note that we've been leaving our kids behind in schools for decades. Illiteracy is a crisis in our inner city. 85% of the kids attending Detroit Public, Pontiac, Lansing, Flint, communities like this, 85% of those kids do not read well enough to access education. You have that crisis moving into the suburbs. We have kids in the suburbs. If you look at Northville, Birmingham, Rochester Hills, Grosse Pointe, you have anywhere from 15 to 30% of the kids that are more than 2 grade levels behind and can't read well. So we've been leaving our kids behind, for a long time. What this crisis has done is that it's just laying it right out there now. You can't even pretend to help them in school. They're going home, and there isn't any way that they can participate online from home if they can't read. So we've lost a tremendous amount of kids.
That is heartbreaking when I think about that and I hear about that. Pamela Good with us here on the Oakland County Megacast. She's the president for Beyond Basics. What do you think we can do in 2021 to fix the problem now that we've recognized the problem?
Mhm. Well, I know what works to get kids reading wherever they live. You know, kids with learning differences in the suburbs, you know, it could be ADHD, dyslexia, autism, you know, just never learning, generational issues, and in poverty. But we know what it takes. It takes knowing where a child, how far they're behind, and working intensively one on one with them. We have to, as a community, demand that our um, educational model be changed to add this intensive care work. We need to fund getting all those kids who can't read reading, but then our model has to change so that if you're more than a grade level behind, they're offering you what you need. And that isn't happening right now. I do know that in terms of this, you know, this year of 2020, um, I think that in some ways it's been a year of 2020 vision, if you will. We've been able to see a lot of problems that we have, our problems and weaknesses in poverty and in schools and with health and institutions where we haven't been caring for our kids and others. You know, we have to get past just symptom relief and the image of a solution. We've got to get in there and do the heavy lifting. And when it comes to literacy, that means our community coming together and funding every child learning to read. And when we do that, it changes everything. Illiteracy is connected to incarceration. It's connected to joblessness. You know, we have a social service budget in Michigan that is almost 50%. That means almost 50% of our dollars, our tax dollars in this state, are going in large part to care for people that we never bothered to get reading in the first place. And they can't succeed.
Wow, and if we had addressed those issues early on, that would change their path in life, which could be the good thing that comes out of COVID-19.
Yeah, yes, I think so. You know, everybody's strapped right now. What we did, you know, I remember clearly March 12th, schools closed. You know, typically we go to the schools and we run our programs. We go where kids show up. But we didn't have access to them then. So our team put together our one-on-one tutoring online. We're on a virtual platform now. And it's turned out to be a blessing in many ways. You know, we have access to kids throughout the day, not just the school day. It's for the older kids, the high school kids, which we do a lot of work with. It's been more private for them to be in that one-on-one tutoring setting. The attendance has been better. Our results have been what we came to expect in person. So it also gives us access to kids anywhere. You know, typically we raise dollars and we go into Detroit and Pontiac and places and tutor kids for free. But with this model, we can have parents who need this help for their kids, you know, just come and pay for it. And we can assign them a tutor online. So I think that some good things have come out of it. Um, and I hope to see much more than solutions for illiteracy come out of this because we know we need help in a lot of areas.
You know, it's such an important topic and really one that we all need to get involved in because it does impact our entire community. So we love what you're doing there at Beyond Basics. Pamela Good, she's the president at Beyond Basics. Are you taking volunteers right now or is that on hold during the pandemic?
We mostly, our staff and our tutors are paid. They're working an hour a day, 5 days a week with kids. So they're paid staff, and we need tutors right now. So I would say go to our website, beyondbasics.org. And if you're interested in tutoring, you can tutor from your home now because we teach you to do the online platform. And we need really quality adults to work with our kids. And we're not so much the volunteer piece right now. It's logistically hard for families because they're online all day with school. So to be online again for volunteering is just kind of tough for them. But typically we have volunteers that help us.
Pamela Good, she's with us. She's the president of Beyond Basics. So we so appreciate your time, but even more so, we appreciate what you and your team members are doing, because it's such an important issue and an important topic to be discussed, even more so now during the pandemic. Like, I can't imagine how close some of these worlds must be for individuals that can't read, because for me, words are a way to escape for hours on end into other worlds. And I can't imagine not having that available to me.
Yes. You know, I've really learned what it's like to be illiterate in our society through kids who've learned to read. And from some of the high school kids who have spent a long time as a non-reader before, they would describe it as being blind to words. So if you go out into your world and you think of every world you see that you don't see that. One young man was afraid to leave far from his house because he didn't think he could find his way back because he couldn't read the street signs. So we really take for granted how reading connects us to anything that you want to do in the future. And I think we have a moral obligation to get, especially kids that are showing up to school today. I mean, we're really lying to them that they're getting an education if they're not literate to be able to embrace it. And so this is an epidemic in America. Our educational model is the same here as it is across this nation. And we need to wake up to this problem, because when kids graduate after they've been in school for 12 years and they can't read, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? So we have the power. There is a solution. I said this is an epidemic that comes with a solution. We never flattened the curve on this issue for our educators. It's time that we step in and we help them. And it literally changes everything when we are getting kids literate, letting them access education we're already paying for, and watch them blossom. Watch them blossom.
With that, I love what you stand for. And so we want to encourage anyone out there, if you're looking for an organization to support right now, Beyond Basics. It is an organization that is changing the life and changing the world. But one thing I hope, Pam, that comes out of this crisis and this pandemic is recognizing the issue of being illiterate in a world that we're relying on technology. So thank you so much to your team, and also to everyone in your time and your effort that you put into trying to raise awareness around this effort.
Yeah, I appreciate it so much. You're really helping us spark a literacy revolution. And I would say advocate. If everyone can just advocate that these kids can, it'll move us forward.
Thank you so much for your time.